Okay. Yeah, you have, I think you have to agree to be recorded. So welcome to Yoga and Meditation for everyone. I'm Rebecca, and I welcome you on this cloudy day in Atlanta. I spoke before we started about taking care of yourself and making sure that you feel good and stay safe. I will be offering lots of alternatives for our poses. And you may see me looking over here. In fact, I need to go click something on this screen because I have a nice big screen on the side there that allows me to see you and see your body positions and such. All right, we're going to get started seated. So please come into a comfortable seat for you, which could be in a chair, on a cushion, on the floor. You find your comfortable seat. And take a moment to just mark the transition from not yoga to stepping into this sacred space of yoga. Feel your feet connecting to the ground in some way. Feel your bottom in your seat. Your hands resting, palms down. They can be on your lap. If there's something in front of you, you can rest your hands there. And take a moment to feel the ground beneath you, the space around you. Look around in your space at the colors, the patterns, the light that you see. Maybe glance at the screen, see the folks in community with you today. And then if you're comfortable, close your eyes or take a soft, unfocused gaze, allowing your attention to begin to turn more deeply inward. Begin to notice the sensations, your sensory environment. What do you feel beneath your feet, beneath your fingertips? What are the sounds that you hear beyond the sound of my voice? Can you discern the sounds that are close by and some that are further away? Notice the temperature of the room, maybe some air currents, the feeling of your clothing against your skin. Maybe you have a soft and fluffy pet at your side. We use sensation as a way of staying very focused and grounded in the current moment. If we can feel our feet on the ground, if we can feel a sensation, then we are in the present moment. Begin to notice the feeling of your breath moving in and out of your body. Without changing anything, just pick one spot, maybe the tip of your nose or your upper lip or your throat or chest, and stay with that sensation of breath through a couple of rounds of inhales and exhales. Notice if the sensation changes, if it stays the same. And notice your reaction to paying attention to the breath. For some people, it's very challenging. And so I invite you to work with breath as a focus, but also you can bring in other sensations. If it's easier for you to stay with the feeling of something beneath your fingertips, or a sound that you hear, or even something that you're glancing at if you keep your eyes open and unfocused. Those are other ways of staying focused in meditation and yoga. So for those of you who can work with the breath, inhale and let it help you sit a little taller in your seat, lengthening your spine. reaching your crown towards the sky. As you exhale, sink a little more deeply into the earth beneath you. We like to sit with a sense of aliveness, of an awake, an elegant spine. And yet, letting go, relaxing, softening anything that doesn't need to be engaged. Let's take 5 breaths right here. And after your 5th exhale, release that focus and come into a comfortable and natural breath. I'm going to scoot back here a little bit. Sitting up now on my cushion, which gives me a little height so that my hips are higher than my knees. You can stay seated in a chair or wherever you are. We'll move into our sun breaths. Inhale and allow your arms to float up on the breath, palms up. Exhale and softly release arms down. Just allow the arms, we'll continue with this, to come to where it feels comfortable. Maybe for you that's all the way up, or maybe it's not. Exhale and release. Inhale, softly float, feeling the movement of your shoulder blades on your back. If one arm can only go to here, then take both arms to the same level. Do a few more. Inhale and reach. And exhale, softly let it go. On this inhale, reach up nice and tall and then lower your right hand and come up and over with the left. If it's not comfortable for you to have a long arm, then bend your elbow. Place your fingertips on your shoulder. You could also bring your hand to your hip. Whatever feels best. We'll stay for a couple of breaths. As you inhale, notice the opening sensation in your rib cage and the whole side of the body. As you exhale, it could curl a little more. Then use an inhale to come up and over to the other side. Notice if this side needs a different arm position. Stay for a few breaths. And use an inhale to switch. And we'll move through a few rounds, moving at your own pace, staying for at least one extra breath in the side bend. If coming over is a lot for you, you can make use of props. You can bring your hand to a block. If you're sitting in a chair, you can hold on to the chair seat. Working to both sides. Let's go once more to each side. Beginning to warm up the spine. And this or the next time that you come through center, pause here. Bring your fingertips down. Maybe they're touching the ground or in your lap. And let's inhale in place. Exhale, gently tuck your chin towards your chest. Inhale, lift the head to look straight ahead. Exhale, and look towards or over your right shoulder. Inhale to center. Exhale to the left. Inhale to center and exhale, drop chin towards your chest. Inhale to center. Exhale, look to the right. Inhale to center. Exhale, look left. Inhale to center. Exhale, chin to chest. Inhale to center. This time, bring right ear towards the right shoulder. Stay for a breath right here. Inhale to center. Exhale, left ear to left shoulder. Stay for a breath. Inhale to center. Exhale, chin to chest. Inhale to center. Exhale, chin to chest. Inhale to center. Next inhale, raise your arms to shoulder height with palms facing up and roll through your fingers. Maybe make a few fists, spread your palms wide, and then bend your elbows and rest your fingertips on the top of your shoulders. Let's make some circles, as if you're drawing with your elbow. You had a nice big piece of paper at your sides. Take your time here, really feeling the movement in your shoulder. And if the movement's small, feel that. Let's reverse direction. We'll reverse again, this time one at a time, infinity arms. Yeah, beautiful. Now reverse again, one at a time. Beautiful. Come back to center and release arms down, shake them out. Let's inhale up. We'll come into a twist. Bring your left hand to your right knee. Your right hand comes behind you. Inhale, sit up nice and tall, and exhale, turn to look towards your right shoulder. Inhale back to center and exhale to the other side. Right hand to left knee, left hand behind you. Inhale here, get nice and tall, make space, and then exhale and twist, looking towards or over your shoulder. We'll move side to side. Inhale through the center, exhale to the twist. Inhale, lengthen, making space, exhale, twist a little deeper. Inhale through center. Exhale, make the space, and then use your muscles and breath to twist, not your arms. So you're not cranking yourself around. The hands are just there for support. We'll do once more to each side. And next time you come through center, pause here. Now we're going to move to a tabletop position, hands and knees. Now, if you know right away that that is not going to work for you, then stay seated where you are and just hang on for me and I will help. If you are coming to hands and knees, please make sure that you have something underneath your knees. I use this bit of the piece of mat that the mat company very smartly sells. So I'm going to place that underneath my knees, and I'll have my knees right underneath my hips. I'm going to come on to my hands, but for some of us that may be too much extension in your wrist. So try making fists with thumbs pointing straight ahead. And you can also come down onto forearms on blocks or all the way down onto the ground. Hands or fists or elbows underneath your shoulders. If you're seated, sit up nice and tall, if possible with feet on the ground. We'll move into cat and cow movement. So as you inhale, send your tail behind you, lifting up. Soften your belly and then reach through the crown of your head. Now looking down between your hands or maybe a little bit in front of you, reaching through the crown of the head, right? So we're not bending at the neck. As you exhale, tuck your tail, draw your belly in and up, and release your head. Inhale, tail lifts first. Soften the belly, reach through the crown. Exhale, tuck, open between the shoulder blades. Continue. If you're seated, it's the same movement. As you inhale, your tail comes out behind you, right? It lifts up. Soften the belly, lift the heart, reach through the crown. As you exhale, tuck your tail under you, draw the belly in and up, release the head gently forward. So same movement, either location. Stay with it just a few more repetitions and begin to know if you are a 110%er or a maybe 85%er. And let's all shoot for closer to 85%, right? So not the most, range of motion that you can give, and not the least either, somewhere in between. And the next time you pass through a neutral spine, stay right here. If you're on hands and knees, extend one leg behind you with toes curled under. Press back and stretch through your foot and ankle. If you're seated, you can extend your leg in front of you, flexing your foot to get the same stretch. Stay right here or lift the leg to hip height. Engage through the low abdomen, engage your pelvic floor, and maybe add the reach of an opposite arm. Make sure breath is flowing even as we hold. And then release hand, foot, and knee. And rock and roll a little bit from side to side. We'll move to the other side, extending your leg, toes tucked under, pressing back or reaching the leg out in front of you, flexing through the foot to get a stretch. Stay here or add the opposite arm. Maybe the leg floats up. Keep that engagement in the core, in the pelvic floor. And release. If you're on hands and knees, bring your toes together and your knees wide apart and gently sit your hips back towards your heels. You can come down onto forearms. You can stack your fists to rest your head, stack your hands, or come all the way down into child's pose. Breathing here, if you're seated, just sit up nice and tall. Breathing in to the back body. Can you feel an expansion in your back as you inhale? And a release of your shoulders. Maybe your chest is melting towards the ground if you're on hands, if you're in child's pose. 2 more breaths. And last one. If you're in child's pose, pressing up, we're going to make our way up to standing. So take your best path to come on up, and we'll all meet in standing. Make sure that you have your props nearby. If you have your yoga blocks, excellent. If you're going to use your chair or some other thick cushion, I have cushions like this. This is a meditation cushion, and this would work really nicely as a block. We have to be inventive, right, in our spaces. Now taking a moment to transition up to standing and bring your feet about hip distance apart. And when I say hip, I mean hip joint, right? So we think our hips are really wide, so we walk out here. But I really mean the extension from the joint down to the floor. Bring your hands to the top of your hips and gently rock forward and back, shifting your weight between your heels and the balls of your feet. Just noticing. If you feel at all unsteady, get yourself into a position where you can take support. You can put your hand on a wall, or I use my yoga chair sometimes. Have something nearby to make sure that you're staying nice and safe. So finding a place in between that rock to the heels and rock to the balls of the feet. Place of balance, maybe shift a little side to side. Come back to center. Try lifting your toes up. Spread them wide apart. And then slowly put them down. Keeping them nice and spread, yoga toes. Lift them up once more, spread them wide, and slowly bring them down. Beautiful. Now bend your knees and let's circle the hips a little bit. Yeah. And go the other way. Really helps to bend your knees. Then come back to center, and can you shift your hips front and back like we did in cat-cow, seated or on hands and knees? So I'm just shifting my pelvis back and forward. And find a place in between those movements that feels like neutral. Some of us in our stance tend to tuck our pelvises under. That's a natural stance for a lot of people. Others of us have a hyper curve in the low back. So notice if finding neutral feels like it's not where you normally stand. Just notice that. Let's inhale, arms come up. Let your palms meet wherever they can comfortably do that. And exhale, bring hands to heart center. We'll do that twice more. Come to stillness right here. Take a moment to glance ahead of you and find a focal point, something that isn't moving. This is your drishti, your gaze. And as we move into some more balanced poses, this will be a really helpful thing. Sometimes it's something that's not moving on your horizon line. So take a moment, just glancing at your drishti. Go back down to your feet and notice if you've shifted out of that neutral position, and see if you can find your way back. Imagine that you're drawing your legs towards each other, lifting your pelvic floor, lifting your low belly, lifting through the heart. I mean, don't tilt your ribs, but lift through the crown of the head and find your mountain pose. Let's release arms down, palms facing forward. Reach down towards the ground at the same time that you're lifting tall. Feel the strength of the mountain, the steadiness here. So important to keep this sense of steadiness, this balance as we move through our days. So if we practice it here on the yoga mat, then we can take it off the mat and into our daily lives. Okay, release that and shake it out. We're going to work with some classical yoga poses, the warrior poses, Virabhadrasana. Virabhadrasana 1, 2, and 3. So we'll start with warrior 1. Now I'm going to use my chair as a support. You can use fingertips on a wall. If you have couch that, the side of your couch or some other piece of sturdy furniture that you could rest a hand on. That would be good. So standing up in your mountain pose, you can have hands on your support or hands on your thighs or your hips. Let's step back with the left foot. So I'm taking a moderate step back. I'm on the ball of my foot. My heel is pointing behind me and my hips are pointing straight ahead. Yes, yes, beautiful. And turn that hip so that your legs are still, your toes are still pointing straight ahead. Beautiful. Front knee is bent and the knee is right over the ankle. Back leg is pressing back behind you. Okay, so stay here feeling this feeling, or try raising one or both arms. Lifting through the heart, through the crown of the head. In this position with my left leg back, I have my left hip drawing forward, my right hip is drawing back. I'm not leaning, I'm up nice and tall. And the depth of my stance is what controls the depth of the pose. So I can step back a lot further, or I can step back even less. And that helps with balance and strength. So warrior one, Virabhadrasana 1. Release arms down, and now we're going to pivot. I'm going to drop my left heel as I begin to open my hips. I'm going to line my front heel with my back heel or the arch of the foot and come into the leg part of warrior 2. So my front knee is still bent right over my ankle. And now I'm working to open that left hip away. I can stay here with hands on hips or inhale and bring arms to shoulder height. Turn and look over your front fingertips. Press down through your legs and imagine you're drawing them towards each other. Lift the pelvic floor. Lift the low belly. Lift the heart and the crown. Nice and strong. Warrior 2, Virabhadrasana 2. One more breath here. And now we're going to pivot to the center. So turn all toes to face forward. You can raise your arms up if you like. And then we're going to open into warrior 2 in the other direction. So turning left toes out, pressing the right heel away. I'm going to bend my front knee right over the ankle and find my warrior 2 in this position, in this direction. So straight up and down, front leg is bent, back leg is reaching back, arms reaching at shoulder height. Again, press down and draw your heels towards each other, engaging through the inner leg, the pelvic floor. Lift the low belly, the heart, the crown. Now we're going to pivot to our warrior 1 in the other direction. So come up onto the ball of your right foot and turn. Maybe hands on your supports, hands on your hips. Now I have my left leg in front, knee is bent, and I'm on the ball of my right leg, pressing my heel back behind me. Lifting here. Virabhadrasana 1. Take a breath, and now we're going to go back. Drop the back heel as you pivot, opening the hips to the side, lining up heel to heel or heel to arch. Inhale, arms at shoulder height. Look out over front fingertips. Take a breath. See if you can sit down a little deeper in the pose. With an inhale, lift arms up and turn toes to face forward. And we'll open to warrior two on the other side, turning your right toes out, your left heel presses away, and you bend your front knee. Knee over the ankle. This hip is opening. We're staying nice and tall. Some people want a lunge, but we're not, it's not a lunge. It's just a bend. Beautiful. Turn to look over front fingertips. And now we'll complete the circle by lifting the back heel, pivoting around. So we're now back in warrior one. Beautiful job. Press that heel behind you. The front knee is bent right over the ankle, lifting pelvic floor, low belly, heart, crown, maybe fingertips. And step the back foot up to meet the front. Find your mountain pose. Take a moment here. You've gone through 2 of the 3 warrior poses. Warrior 1 to warrior 2, to warrior 2 on the other side, to warrior 1, and then back through the cycle. This is something you may often do in a yoga class when you're in person. And release and let it go. Beautiful work. Lots of focus. So I'm going to take us into one balance pose, and then we'll complete our warriors with warrior 3. My light just went off. So find your mountain pose, standing nice and tall. Remember your drishti, your focal point, something on your horizon line that isn't moving. Maybe you're resting one hand on your support, a chair, the wall. We're going to shift our weight into the left leg so that the right knee and hip can bend, the leg lifts, and then we turn out. You can place the ball of your foot on the floor with your heel towards your ankle. You can bring your foot below your knee or above your knee. Just don't press into your knee. Press down through your standing leg and draw your energy up through heart center. Maybe you can grow some branches, one or both arms. Come in and out as you need to, feeling this sense of groundedness in the lower body and buoyancy or lift in the upper body, reaching up through the crown of your head. One more breath. And then feet down, draw your hands to heart center and walk it out. Beautiful job. Find your mountain once again. Find that quiet strength, the stillness of the mountain. Take your support as you need to, and then shift into the other leg. We release one leg, it turns out, and you can support it on the floor, on your calf, or inner thigh. Feel that connection of foot to leg. The leg, your trunk, is standing tall. Draw the energy up from the ground through heart center. Maybe branches grow. Usually one side is a little harder to balance than the other. So feel free to come in and out or take the kickstand version with your toes on the ground. And we'll take one more big breath, opening up, and exhale, 2 feet down, walk it out, and come to stillness, hands at heart center. Take a moment to find your drishti, feel the strength of your mountain pose, and then if it feels safe for you, allow your eyes to close. And notice what it's like to find balance from the inside out without the visual field. We'll take 3 breaths here. And slowly release. Shake it out. Yes, it's amazing, isn't it? How much taking the visual out affects our balance. And so there are times when our vision is impaired, and that can really affect our balance. So that's why we work on it. Okay, final balance pose, final warrior 3, Virabhadrasana 3. Now, this is a strong pose, and I'm going to work with my blocks, but you can also work with a chair or a bed or other piece of sturdy furniture. And let me show you where we're going, and then you can decide how you want to set up. So we'll start in our mountain pose, and I'm turning sideways so you can see the body position. And in a moment, I will lead you to come into a forward hinge from your hips. Let your knees bend as much as you need to rest your hands on your support, maybe your chair or blocks. Block here so you can see. So it will be here or here. And then I'm going to release one leg out behind me, trying to balance my hips. And this is warrior 3. Now we can also add one lift of one arm, or I don't know if I can do it today, lift of 2 arms. And then we'll come back out. Okay, so think about what support is going to work for you. Facing your support, find your mountain pose. See how we find stillness and grounding so that we know what's happening in our bodies before we plunge ahead into movement. This is what keeps us safe. Inhale, arms come up. Exhale, begin to hinge forward with a long spine. Let your knees bend, keep your spine nice and long, hands come to your support. You can stay right here or release one leg behind you, the knee can be bent. Try to keep your hips level, right? So we're not opening, we're staying nice and level. So toes and knee pointing down. Stay right here or add one or both arms. Take a few breaths. And then to come out, hands on your support and rise up. Okay, how did everyone do? I'm going to watch you this time, working to the other side. Take a moment to find your mountain pose. Inhale, arms come up. As you release your arms down, you'll come forward, hinging, long spine. Maybe hands come to your support, leg behind you, and try to drop that hip just a little more. It's beautiful. Yes, yes, beautiful. Reach, reach. And when you're ready, slowly make your way back up to standing. Beautiful, beautiful work. Take your time. And I want to show you one piece of this. So as you're coming into this pose, especially if you're working, without support, the tendency is for the hip to open, right? It's actually easier because the weight gets more balanced over the leg. But we're working here to let that hip come forward. You see the difference from here to here? Yeah, so pressing out through your heel, this is where the work is. And when we're doing hands and knees, the cat-cow, this is where you begin to create the strength for this position. Okay, beautiful job. Take a slightly wider stance, make sure you have some space around you, and let's do a little Tai Chi twist. Beautiful job. And releasing that movement, coming back to center. Step back in. Let's inhale up. Palms together. Exhale to heart center. And once more, inhale, reach. And exhale, pause. We're going to make our way all the way down to the ground. So please take your path. And as we go through the cycles of the class, we'll be talking a little bit more about how we're transitioning from up to down and down to up. But for now, go ahead and come all the way down to your mat. And go ahead and lie down on your back. You'll have knees bent, feet on the ground. Have your feet close to your body, feet and knees about hip distance apart. Allow your arms to come down comfortably at your sides, palms down if possible. And begin to work with a pelvic tilt. So we'll inhale in place and then exhale and press the low back down, flattening out the curve of the spine. Inhale and take the opposite movement by dropping your tailbone towards the mat and letting that natural curve reassert itself. Exhale, the pelvis tilts, tailbone lifts, the top of the sacrum presses down. Inhale, the opposite direction, tailbone drops down, top of the sacrum lifts up, creating that curve. Working with your breath and this pelvic tilt. And again, we're shooting for 85%. If you're an overachiever, dial it back. If you're an underachiever, maybe kick it up just a little. Couple of more right here. And then find neutral pelvis, again, in between those two movements. Pause here for a moment just to get some muscle memory of what neutral feels like. And then draw one leg and then the other towards your chest. Maybe you hold one knee with each hand. Some people can wrap their arms around their shins. And maybe it would feel good to rock side to side. Keep hugging those knees in. And then slowly release one foot and then the other. We're moving towards the end of class. So I'd like you to take a moment or two to notice if there's any movement that your body is calling for before we move into our final meditation and rest. So maybe it's more knees to chest, maybe a figure four stretch or happy baby. Maybe you're ready to find your comfortable position. Take your time to complete your practice, tuning into what your body needs. And if you make sure you work to both sides, if you're doing something that has a side, and then make your way on to your back. Maybe you'd like to have cushions under your knees, maybe a pillow under your head. Maybe you'd like a blanket or an eye pillow. Maybe you prefer to end sitting up. These are all very acceptable postures. So find your way into your posture for final meditation. And become aware. Maybe remembering how you showed up this morning at 10 and where you are now. Maybe you feel no different at all. Maybe you feel very different. Just the awareness is what heals us. With each exhale, allow your body to release a little bit more into the supports beneath you. Letting go through your feet and ankles. Let your legs be heavy. Feel the connection of your hips to the ground. Let them be heavy. Let the legs flop open comfortably, whatever that looks like for you. Let go gently in the pelvic floor and the low belly. Soften in the heart. Let your shoulders be heavy, dropping away from your ears. Arms resting, palms open. They can be up or down. When palms are up, it's a receiving gesture. And when palms are down, it's a grounding gesture. So choose what feels right for you at this time. Relax through your neck. Can you let go? Maybe turn your head softly from side to side a few times and settle somewhere in the middle. Release your jaw. Let your teeth be parted. Maybe your lips are together. Soften your tongue. Let it be heavy in your mouth. Swallow once and release your throat. Softening the muscles of your face, around your eyes, between your eyebrows. Smoothing out your forehead and your scalp. Let your hair rest. With each exhale, soften a little bit more, letting go of the practice, letting go of your thoughts and judgments of the practice, and allowing yourself to be right here with your breath and body. Letting go a little bit more. We'll rest here for just a few moments. Breathe in spaciousness and acceptance of what is. Breathe out resistance. Breathe in possibility and optimism. Breathe out fear and doubt. Breathe in ease. Breathe out the need to change the way this moment is unfolding. Breathe in the certainty that what we really are is so much bigger than any pain or suffering. Breathe out limitation and conditioning. Breathe in divinity and openness. Breathe out a prayer of thanks that even in the midst of difficulty, there is awareness. Begin to deepen your breath, bringing small movements into fingers and toes. If you're lying down, roll to one side and pause. Pressing in to your hands, slowly make your way back up to sitting, allowing your attention to stay deeply inward for another moment or two. We'll seal our practice with one chant of Om for the community that we create when we practice together. If you'd like to join, bringing hands to heart center, we'll inhale together. Om. Om Shanti, peace, peace, peace. Jai Bhagwan. May the light in you be victorious. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me and with each other.